For centuries, Rome seemed unstoppable. Its armies crossed mountains, conquered kingdoms, and crushed enemies from Britain to the Euphrates. Roman soldiers marched through forests, over rivers, and across continents. Wherever they went, victory often followed. But there was one place Rome never truly understood: the desert. It was vast, empty, silent, an ocean of sand stretching beyond the horizon. And in the year 53 BC, one Roman army marched deep into that wilderness, believing it was about to win one of the greatest victories in Roman history. Instead, it disappeared into a nightmare. Nearly 80,000 Romans and their allies set out for war. Tens of thousands would never return. Their defeat would shock the Roman world, destroy reputations, alter the balance of power in the East, and become one of the most infamous military disasters in history. This is the story of how Rome marched into the desert, and how the desert fought back. At the center of the story stood one man, Marcus Licinius Crassus. By any measure, Crassus was one of the most powerful men in Rome. He was enormously wealthy. Ancient writers claimed he was the richest man in the Republic. His fortune came from land, business, investments, and political influence. He owned vast properties and possessed wealth beyond the imagination of ordinary Romans. Yet money was not enough. In Rome, greatness was measured by more than riches. Military glory mattered, victory mattered, conquest mattered. And in that regard, Crassus lived in the shadow of other men. One was Julius Caesar. The other was Pompey the Great. Both had won spectacular military successes. Both enjoyed fame throughout the Roman world. Their names were associated with triumphs, victories, and conquered lands. Crassus had wealth. They had glory. For a Roman aristocrat, that difference mattered. As the years passed, Crassus became increasingly determined to secure a military achievement that would place him beside his rivals. The opportunity seemed to lie in the east. Beyond Rome's eastern frontier stood a powerful rival, the empire of Parthian Empire. The Parthians ruled vast territories stretching across much of modern Iran and Mesopotamia. Their kingdom controlled important trade routes and immense wealth. Unlike many enemies Rome had defeated, the Parthians were not a tribal confederation or a struggling kingdom. They were a major power, yet they were also divided by internal disputes. To ambitious Romans, they appeared vulnerable. Crassus saw possibility. If he could conquer Parthian territory, seize rich cities, and return victorious, he would achieve the military fame he had always desired. Many Romans were skeptical. The planned war was controversial from the beginning. Parthia had not launched a major attack against Rome. There was no immediate threat requiring invasion. Critics accused Crassus of pursuing war for personal ambition rather than necessity, but opposition could not stop him. In 55 BC, Crassus secured a command that gave him authority over Rome's eastern provinces. Soon preparations began. Legions assembled. Supplies were gathered. Officers were appointed. Thousands of soldiers prepared for a campaign that many expected would bring enormous rewards. Roman victories often produced riches. Conquered territories yielded loot. Captured cities generated wealth. Successful commanders earned prestige. The coming expedition promised all of these things. As the army moved eastward, confidence remained high. Why shouldn't it? Roman legions had defeated countless enemies. Their discipline was legendary. Their organization was unmatched. Their reputation inspired fear throughout the ancient world. Many believed that Parthia would become just another addition to Rome's growing empire. The first stages of the campaign appeared to confirm those expectations. Crossing into Mesopotamia, Crassus captured several settlements and established positions along the frontier. Resistance seemed limited. The campaign looked promising. Then winter arrived. Operations slowed. Both sides prepared for the next phase of the war. During those months, something important happened. The Parthians began preparing their response. Rome expected a conventional enemy. The Parthians intended to fight a very different war. Unlike Roman armies, Parthian strength did not rest primarily in heavy infantry. Their greatest weapon was mobility. Their armies relied heavily on cavalry. Fast cavalry, experienced cavalry, horsemen who had spent much of their lives riding across open landscapes. Among them were mounted archers, capable of firing accurately while moving at high speed. These warriors could strike from a distance, withdraw before an enemy reacted, and attack again moments later. There were also heavily armored cavalrymen, known as cataphracts, protected by armor and mounted on powerful horses. They could deliver devastating charges. Together, these forces created a military system very different from Rome's. Roman commanders were accustomed to defeating infantry armies. The Parthians planned to exploit every weakness in that approach. As spring approached, the stage was set. Crassus prepared to advance deeper into enemy territory. At this point, he faced an important decision. Several possible routes lay before him. Some offered access to rivers, settlements, and supplies. Others promised faster progress, but carried greater risks. Advice arrived from different sources. One local ruler urged caution and recommended a safer route. His guidance would have kept the Roman army closer to water and support. Crassus chose differently. Whether motivated by confidence, impatience, or faulty intelligence, he committed his army to a path leading across increasingly arid terrain. The decision seemed reasonable at first. The army advanced. Columns stretched across the landscape. Standards waved above marching troops. Dust rose beneath thousands of feet. The Romans expected to find and defeat a major enemy force. Instead, they entered a world that seemed almost empty. Days passed. The desert expanded in every direction. The sun beat down relentlessly. Water became increasingly important. Distances became harder to judge. The terrain offered little cover, little shade, little relief. Yet the enemy remained unseen. The absence of opposition may actually have increased Roman confidence. Perhaps the Parthians were retreating. Perhaps they feared battle. Perhaps victory was near. The truth was very different. The Parthians were watching. They knew the land. They knew where the Romans were heading. Most importantly, they knew how they intended to fight. Leading the Parthian forces was a commander named Surena. Though younger than Crassus, Surena had already established himself as one of the most capable military leaders in the Parthian world. He understood his opponent. He understood the terrain. And he understood that Rome's greatest strengths could become weaknesses in the open desert. As the Roman army marched onward, Parthian scouts monitored its movements. Information flowed continuously. The enemy remained largely invisible. The Romans could feel the tension growing. Somewhere ahead, an army was waiting. Eventually, reports began reaching Crassus. The Parthians were near. Battle might be imminent. Roman soldiers prepared themselves. Weapons were checked, armor adjusted, formations organized. Many expected a traditional confrontation. Two armies meeting face to face. A decisive clash. A Roman victory. Instead, they were about to encounter a form of warfare unlike anything most of them had ever experienced. The first signs appeared on the horizon. Dust, large clouds of dust, movement in the distance. Then riders, more riders, and then entire formations of cavalry emerging from the desert. The enemy had arrived. The Roman army halted and prepared for battle. Crassus quickly recognized the challenge before him. The Parthian force appeared highly mobile. To prevent encirclement, Roman formations were adjusted. Legionaries closed ranks. Shields formed protective walls. Discipline remained strong. The army was ready. At least, it believed it was. Then the attack began. Not with a massive charge, not with a collision of infantry lines, but with arrows, thousands of arrows. The Parthian horse archers surged forward, loosed volleys, and withdrew. Missiles filled the air. Roman shields absorbed many impacts. But the attacks did not stop. Again and again, riders approached. Again and again, arrows rained down. The Romans waited for the enemy to exhaust himself. That was how many battles worked. Missile troops carried limited ammunition. Eventually the attack weakened. Eventually the enemy closed for combat. But something strange happened. The arrows kept coming, and coming, and coming. The Parthians had prepared carefully. Camel trains carried vast supplies of arrows. Whenever horse archers expended ammunition, fresh stocks were delivered. The bombardment continued without pause. Hour after hour, the Roman army remained trapped beneath a storm of missiles. Men began falling, not in dramatic waves, one here, another there. Then more. Every casualty weakened morale. Every wound increased fear. The enemy remained frustratingly distant. Roman soldiers could see the riders. They could hear them, yet they struggled to reach them. Whenever Roman units advanced, the horse archers retreated. Whenever Romans halted, the attacks resumed. The battle was unfolding entirely on Parthian terms, and it was only the beginning.